What's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg, and this is another Chance Encounter.
Hey, what's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg. I'm a commercial real estate guy. I'm from the internet. Power lines today are kind of close. What's up again? This is Dan Fredenberg.
Today I'm joined with Tate Siemer. How you doing, Tate?
What's up, Dan? How's it going, man? Glad to be here. Super stoked.
Awesome, good stuff. And for those of you who this is your first Chance Encounter that you've seen and you don't know the format, first what I do is I say, well, because commercial real estate properties are difficult decisions, you shouldn't make them lightly. I've distilled all of the motivations for picking up a commercial properties down to 5. I go through them. I say which one's you, and then I go through the 6 different roles in picking up, operating, and possibly flipping a commercial deal. I say which one's you. I say what's your most your ideal property, the geographic areas, and then we move on. Nice and fast interaction. So, but first, I think it's very important to be able to introduce yourself effectively. So, Tate, can you please introduce yourself to the audience?
You betcha, Dan. Again, thanks for having me. My name's Tate Siemer. I'm originally from Cincinnati, Ohio, but I've been a resident of Salt Lake City, Utah for about 22 years now. And I love to play in the mountains. I ski and mountain bike all the time. I got into real estate in '06 in the single family world, and really stayed in the single family world until about 3-4 years ago when we started to kind of expand our business model and try some other things. And we got into some land entitlement work, and so flipped a few land deals that way. And we even did some new development, some new build, ground up construction projects. And then we got into some small multifamily, a 12 unit, and then eventually a 20 unit. And then this year we've closed on over 550 units. So we're up to 572 units right now, and about 40 million under assets under management.
That's an awesome achievement. That's really, really great. So that brings me to the first segment, which is motivation. Usually the beginners, they know their motivation, but they don't necessarily know the role that they play in a commercial deal, and this irons that out. The first one is that if you use your wealth and rely on it to make ends meet, then your biggest concern is going to be preserving your purchasing power as opposed to leaving it liquid, which means that inflation is going to eat it and the party is going to be over. So that's the first motivation to want a commercial property. And the next one is my one, which is that I realize as a person in tech, I could do high salary, but high salary equals high income tax. And so if you're trying to shoo that away for wealth, it's a lot more difficult. So it makes more sense to be on the GP team. And that way you are getting compensated with wealth instead of normal salary. So that's the one for me. The next one is the most common one, which is wanting to fast track retirement. But the important thing to keep in mind with fast tracking retirement is that there's also an end in mind when you're talking about retirement. And some people, they become an accredited investor and they're like, you know what, that's enough for me. I'm going to cash in my chips and head off to the Philippines or something like that. But that's in contrast to the next type, the super ambitious ones who will never quit because they want to buy their entire hometown. And they won't be happy until they get to that point. They're going to keep on hustling. So that's in contrast to the retirement fast trackers. But that brings me to the last one, which is that some people have a sector of society that they want to help, and they recognize that accumulating wealth is the best way to do it. After all, how often do you see a librarian's name over top of a hospital? It's if you want to make big social impact, it's got to be you got to build the wealth first. So out of those 5 different motivations, Tate, which resonate the most with you? What describes you best? What combination of them?
I think probably the one that sums it up the most is this, I think number 5, the second to last one, or was it number
Mhm.
4?
That's number
The,
four.
just
Yeah.
the kind of the kind of need to own my hometown.
Yeah.
And what I mean, I don't really mean that literally. What I mean is that I really do this for the love of it, and I do it for its own reward for me. I love this game very, very much, and I love being a part of this space, the thought leadership space, and the education space. And so I can I can really say that I don't see there's not an ulterior motive for me here. I mean, I certainly have wealth goals and whys around wealth and building wealth, and so. But yeah, I don't see myself stopping.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And you got to have people like that on your team. There's no question. This is not a job for people who tap out at the first sign of trouble, right?
No, my gosh, no.
Right. So that brings me to the next section, which is the roles. I think I'm going to switch cameras over to this side. No, not that one. That's going to be this one. Let's going to think about it. There I am. Hey. So I'm going to start off with the repositioner side because that's who I end up helping the most, which is repositioners. There's a few different things about it. First of all, they're looking at a lot of different properties and they're looking for upside. And that means they're definitely underwriting it, which means they're doing the arithmetic, they're doing the math to find out if the property makes sense. But they also have to have enough knowledge to realize where there's upside. Where can there be upside? Well, the two easiest ways are through operations. And
Mm-hmm.
so that would mean that you reduce your costs, fewer Benjamins going down the toilet. And of course, that the important thing to realize is that the marketing piece and the bookkeeping, those are all parts of operations teams as well. So there's a chance that operations more efficient can make enough upside right now. That's not entirely likely, but the other tool in the repositioner's toolbox is the contractor team making upgrades so you can charge more in rent. And then there's one other person who you're definitely going to need if you're remote based, which is you're going to need the boots on the ground. You're going to need the local. And I do in particular because I'm internet based. So you got to have somebody who can be there in an hour. And that the local's job is to make sure that the operations are doing their job and that the contractors are doing their job. So most people, they think of that as being the business of buying and operating and possibly flipping an apartment complex. But you can't forget the financiers, the
Mm-hmm.
bank. So if you're looking to buy, a property that's worth millions of dollars, you end up borrowing millions of dollars. But the financier is going to ask, who's your sponsor? Who's the person who already owns a similar asset? Because if you want to have a 350 unit apartment complex, somebody in the fold has to have a 350 unit apartment complex or some sort of similar asset. But those are the 6 different roles in a GP team, and you have to have the balance sheet equal to the amount of the loan. But Tate, if I switch my camera back over here, and it gets with the program, which of these roles is your core competency, or the most likely thing that you're going to contribute to your next commercial deal?
Well, definitely a repositioner. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the core competency for sure. We specialize in acquiring and operating usually distressed properties from when we get them,
Mm-hmm.
and they usually almost always need some sort of value add, often physical, and almost always operational managerial changes. So we of course have all those different roles in our team, and I even perform some of those other roles myself. But my core competency is certainly in the repositioning.
Okay, excellent, excellent. And as far as an ideal property, so the type of property, as far as unit count and geographic areas, what are the real sweet spots for you that people can bring to you?
Yeah, so we love Oklahoma City and Columbus, Ohio in particular. Those are our 2 specialty markets, and we know them very well. I would say a great deal for us is ideally class B minus, class B distressed, or class C plus type asset that has some upside, Ideally, we really like 150 plus unit as a unit count. But we will, I mean, we just, again, we wrote an offer today on an 84 unit in Columbus, and those are Class B townhomes. So we'll look at anything down in those two markets. We'll look at anything probably down to about 20 units.
Mm-hmm. All right, awesome. And the next question is that, like, if you're a repositioner, there's a good chance that the person you can help the most is people who are, front end acquisitions. They're constantly knocking on doors or whatever. And the other thing I should add, though, is that another type of financier is a capital raiser. And one of the things you're not allowed to do in any kind of podcast or anything like that is entice investors. So without breaking any SEC restrictions about enticing investors, who is the person in real estate that you think you could help more than any other person? What role could you describe them without breaking the law?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I would say, aside from investors, we are really great at teamwork in general and partnership. So, whether it's somebody that has a deal, has access to a deal at some level, has a deal under contract, we can often really help out in getting that deal to the finish line. And we do work with co-GP at a lot of different levels. You mentioned boots on the ground type folks. That's another valuable role to us right now in both of those markets. So, we're always open to partnering up.
All right, awesome. And so for those of you in the audience who don't know me, I'm Dan Fredenberg. My background is in lead capture and funnels. So that's online sales funnels. And the way that I am getting my foot in the door as a co-GP is by streamlining the acquisition process through different software, and then also automation inside the operations side. But if you, and yes, I'm talking to you in the camera in there, look somewhere, let me see, somewhere down here under the arc reactor, you'll see a red button, and it'd be really cool of you to hit it, because it makes me sad, and turn it gray. And that means that you subscribed, and it costs you nothing. So it's not going to, be any money or anything like that. But it means that YouTube pays for these videos instead of me, which is way better. So pretty please, with sugar on top, press the button, the red subscribe button. And all it means is that my videos might show up on your list suggestions. But Tate, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been really fantastic getting to know you better.
You bet, Dan. My pleasure.
And last question, we ended up meeting through Tim Brotz's group, and I know we frequently see each other on like LinkedIn, Facebook. But what's the best way to reach you, Tate?
Yeah, so LinkedIn is great, Facebook's great, but go to investwithgreenlight.com, and you'll find all the things you need to reach me there, and you can even book an appointment with me there if you'd like.
Excellent. Thank you.